Good-looking people here today. It's good to see all of you. So good afternoon and welcome. A special welcome to all of our elected officials. Always good to see the mayor of a northern region of our county. And that part of it's still in our county, right? Where are you? West Point's in Hardin County. Gotcha. Okay. So, and just welcome to all the department heads, of course, all the citizens that are here and interested in our county government and services. So thank you all for being here today. Just another quick note on cell phones. If you could just check those real quick, and just for your sake of embarrassment, maybe go ahead and turn those off or vibrate. So this is the June 13th, 2023 Hardin County Fiscal Court regular voting meeting. So let's begin and call this meeting to order. And we're going to go ahead with the roll call.
Squire Clem. Here. Squire Hicks. Here. Squire Muse. Squire Pennington.
Here.
Squire Saltzman. Here. Squire Thompson. Here. Squire Whitehead.
Here.
Squire Yates. Here. Judge Tall.
Here. All right, we're going to have the invocation by Magistrate Larry Hicks and the Pledge of Allegiance by Magistrate Aaron Pennington. So let's stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We just thank you for the country that we live in. We thank you for Hardin County. We just ask your blessings upon this country. There's so much going on right now, and you know all about it. I just ask you to just bless Hardin County, bless Kentucky, bless the United States of America. And please look over all the little children around the world. There's so many of them getting mistreated. I just pray that you just watch over them, take care of them. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so just a few opening comments. Again, thanks everyone for joining us today and participating. Just a quick review of the agenda. We have a few differences, I guess. Today, we'll start out here in just a moment for a public hearing on a cemetery relocation. We'll vote on the minutes from the last meeting. We have an informational item from our highway department. Then we have some department and office reports, department reports, I guess, from animal control and emergency management, some written reports. We have some time for some comments from our citizens that are here. We'll have two really important things to vote on today. One is the second reading of the budget ordinance, and the other item we'll be looking at some resolutions that relate to our committee functions. After that, we have our consent agenda that I'll cover fairly briefly, and then just our closing comments after that. Okay, so that's our agenda today. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our County Attorney, Jenny Oldham, to conduct a public hearing on Hutcherson Lane Cemetery relocation.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Sheffield, if you want to come on up. And I think this is the first time this court has done a cemetery relocation hearing, so I'll just put a little information on the record. KRS 381-755 allows a property owner to request permission from fiscal court to remove and relocate remains if they have what they believe is an abandoned grave site on their property. And so the current owner of property at 426 Hutcherson Lane, which is Shamrock Properties, has made that request. They filed public notice and published that in the News Enterprise on April 14th. And so now we are more than 60 days from that notice here to have a hearing to determine whether the graves are abandoned and whether the fiscal court can give permission for those to be relocated appropriately. So Mr. Shufelt, if you'll introduce yourself, and there's some information we want to put on the record.
Yes, my name is Richard Shufelt. I'm an attorney with Skeeters, Bennett, Wilson, and Humphrey. I was retained by Phillips Brothers Construction and Shamrock Properties LLC upon the site determination of determining that they were going to go forward with construction. Obviously, that there were unmarked, unknown graves located on the property. We do have an affidavit that we'll go into shortly about the history of that grave and the unknown nature of those grave sites. And our request is to move them on a location within the property, so there's no need to go transport across any roads, any county lines. It's just purely being moved on a different site within the property.
And so I've given the court members a copy of the April 13th letter from Ellen Weinstein, the member of Shamrock Properties LLC, where it explains when they obtained the property and what it is they're asking to do. And then if you will, you should have a second page, which is an affidavit that'll go into the record from Steve Mauser, who is the prior owner of the property. And as you can see, Mr. Mauser owned the property for approximately 15 years until September 15th, 2022. And during those 15 years, he was aware of a burial site there, but to his knowledge, there was never any visitation or upkeep, requests to visit, or any maintenance of those graves. And then the other things that I've provided were the public notice that we see in News Enterprise on April 14th, and where the property owner paid for that. And so to let you know, there's a presumption in the law that if a cemetery has not been tended for at least 10 years, and it's presumed to be abandoned, the 60-day notice is to allow the public to come in and provide additional information if they believe it's not abandoned, or if they have more information about who or what is buried there, or where it should be relocated. And so, Mr. Shufelt, to your knowledge, no one has contacted the property owners or you as counsel.
Our firm has not received any information, and I did follow up with both Phillips Brothers and the property owner. There's been no comments, no notice to them of any information that would be enlightening on the subject.
Okay. Is there anyone else, either on the property owner or people who are transferring, relocating here, that wants to speak on this that you're aware of? Okay. Is there any member of the public who has additional information? Again, this is at 426 Hutcherson Lane, who wants to be heard on this matter. Do the fiscal court members have questions of Mr. Shufelt or anything that I can answer? Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm going to introduce these 4 documents that the court members have into the record. I'm going to pass those over to the clerk. If we can just make that a part of the record. And it's going to be my recommendation that we approve Resolution 2023, number 125, because I think it has been established by the affidavit that the Mausers owned the property for more than 10 years, and that no one tended to the grave, and that it was therefore abandoned. And we've had no one appear with additional information or with a relocation alternative. And there are statutes that will then prescribe how this is to be relocated. And so I would request a motion to approve Resolution 2023-125.
So moved. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Squire Clem.
Yes.
Squire Hicks.
Yes.
Squire Pennington.
Yes.
Squire Saltzman.
Yes.
Squire Thompson.
Yes.
Squire Whitehead.
Yes.
Squire Yates.
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes.
And we'll get you a copy of that order.
Thank you, Magistrate. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is to approve the Hardin County Fiscal Court 5/23/2023 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Squire Clem.
Yes.
Squire Hicks.
Yes.
Squire Pennington.
Yes.
Squire Saltzman.
Yes.
Squire Thompson.
Yes.
Squire Whitehead.
Yes.
Squire Yates.
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, how about some information today from our Highway Department, the annual rural secondary presentation. And it says here that Kevin Young is going to present today.
Unfortunately, you're gonna be stuck with me.
Aha, that's what I thought.
Presenting our rural secondary program today.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Bo Warren. I'm a branch manager for project delivery and preservation in our E-Town district office. And,
Just a second, is that mic on? Just need to get closer to it if possible. Okay. All right, thank you.
my name is Bo Warren. I'm a branch manager for project delivery and preservation in our Elizabethtown section office. And with us today, we have Brad Bottoms. He's our chief district engineer for our district, and Cody Ditto. He's the section engineer for maintenance for Hardin County. Before we get into the program, I'd like to remind you how our program is funded. Our rural secondary program is funded by 22.2% of the motor fuels tax receipts. These funds are allocated to all 120 counties, and it's based on a 5-point formula. That formula is comprised of 1/5 equally among all counties, 1/5 based on the rural population, 1/5 based on the road miles, and 2/5 based on the land area. And once that money has been allocated to a county, it's not transferable to any other county. It must be spent in the county it's applied to. Our current proposed rural secondary program is, our first priority is the routine maintenance of traffic for our roadway, which includes ditching, mowing, snow and ice removal, and those sort of items. That anticipated cost is $751,100. Our second item is a resurfacing project on Valley Creek Road, Kentucky 567, from the railroad crossing at mile point 0.581 to Miller Road at mile point 4.42. Total anticipated cost of that project is $550,177. Our third priority is a resurfacing project on North Long Grove Road, Kentucky 1375, beginning at US 62 at mile point 5.919 to Franklin Crossroads at mile point 8.339. Total anticipated cost of this project is $269,080. All those totaled up to $1,570,357, which is slightly above what our allocation was for this year, approximately $15,000 above that. And unfortunately, like everybody else, we're highly impacted by the cost of asphalt, and all those is really impacting how many road miles we're able to get this year. Just an update on some of our current projects that we have going on in Hardin County. We've got a group job that is completing roundabouts in several different locations, like the Kentucky 1136 and US 31W bypass. That project is currently underway, and they have an anticipated completion date of that intersection of August 1st. So it'll be completed prior to school starting again. The roundabout at Dolphin Drive and Joe Sale, it's already completed. The roundabout at Lehman Lane and Woodland Drive, it's already completed. The one at Kentucky 251 in Pear Orchard is already completed. And this set of roundabouts at Kentucky 251 in Panther and Kentucky 251 in Beach Street are both under construction right now. Should be completed by August 1st before school opens up again. Commerce Drive and Executive, that roundabout's already been completed, substantially completed. It's still lacking some retaining wall and a sidewalk, but substantially complete and open to traffic. And the last three have not yet been scheduled by the contractor, but they are Kentucky 251 in Poplar, and Poplar in North Mantle, and Poplar in Sycamore. So Those are still yet to be completed, but all of those roundabouts have to be completed before October 31st of 2024. There's a resurfacing project on Kentucky 144 that is from mile point 0 to 3, and it's in the process of being completed right now. And our last year's resurfacing program for our RS is being completed right now as well. There's several roads that were on that one. That was Kentucky 220 from the 0 to 3, 391 from the 0, or from the 1 to the 3, and Kentucky 447 from mile point 0 to 3, 1868 from 1 to 4, 1904 from the 4 to the 5, 2213 from the 0 to the 5. And all those projects have to be completed before the end of June. There's another resurfacing project that's going to be on the first mile of St. John's Road. That's going to be a thin lay project that's going to go from 31W to 31W bypass, and that has to be completed prior to September 30th. And there's a resurfacing project on 31W that's already been lit that's going to go from the square to St. John's Road, from the 16 to the 18, that has to be completed by the middle of November. And then there's a resurfacing project on Kentucky 220 that's going to go from the roundabout at Ronnieville to 1600 intersection where 220 turns off. So it'll be that section in town there that gets done. That has to be completed by the middle of November. And then there's a thin lay resurfacing project on Kentucky 313 from mile point 9 to 11. That'll be from the 31W intersection to Kentucky 361. And that has to be completed by September 30th. And then there's another resurfacing project on Kentucky 313 that's going to go from the 0, which is at I-65, and include the ramps at I-65 to the 2. That's the previous resurfacing project there at mile point 2. That has to be completed by the middle of November. And there is an HSIP turning lane improvement project that goes from 7 to the 11 on US 62, which would include Zeus Road to Kentucky 222. That are some spot improvements to give left turn lanes and some shoulder work out there. And that's scheduled to be completed prior to the middle of November this year as well. And the last project that we actually have led is our Glendale interchange job at I-65. And currently, it's a working day project, and they're anticipating being complete around June of 2024, the first part of June. That's all the projects that we currently have let and award in Hardin County. See if we have any questions.
Any questions?
I have a quick question. When do you think, I thought I had read this in the paper a while back, 31W in Radcliffe. When will that get any love?
We're currently anticipating on trying to do some patching up through that section that's right in Radcliffe to deal with some of the, it's actually some bonding issues with the concrete that's underneath. We'll be doing some patching work with that.
Is that right next to the curb you're talking?
Yes, sir. There's certain right-hand lane
Yeah, that's
slipped and
terrible
not
through there.
adhered to the concrete floor, which is causing it to show.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right. Thank you very much for that report. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to department reports. Be Animal Control, Mike McNutt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's fine. Next slide. For the month of May, we adopted out 60 dogs. We returned 19 dogs to their owner,
We sent 9 to rescue, and we euthanized 33. Next slide, please. For the year to date, dog adoption set at 664. That's up 109 from 21-22. We returned 201 dogs to their owner for the year to date. Next slide, please. For the year to date, rescue sits at 5%. All rescues, all shelters right now are at full capacity all the time. We recently started doing free adoptions to try to make some space in our shelter, and of course, we live in a great community, so they did come out. We adopted 42 big dogs out in a 2-week time period. But they're coming in just as fast as we can get them out. So it's a problem across the nation right now. A lot of it has to do with what happened with COVID. It's just now catching up to the animal world. So next slide, please. For the year to date, dogs euthanized are at 12%. Some of the dogs we're talking about, there were 33 total. 20 of those had to be euthanized for aggression. I don't want to paint a real bad picture, but just 3 of those dogs broke out of their yard and chased a 7-year-old little girl down and attacked her. I have a responsibility for the safety of the county, so I just want y'all to know that those decisions were not made lightly, and it has affected the entire staff. That's the most we've done in quite a while. But like I said, I can't. If I've told y'all before, if I won't put them in the backyard next to my grandchild, I'm not going to put them next door to yours. So, next slide, please. Dog adoptions for the year to date are at 64%. If you look, that's the highest they've been in forever, but yet we're still packed. It's just the nature of what we do. Next slide, please. For the year to date, RTO, which is dogs returned to their owner, and that's inside the shelter, is at 19%. We also, if we pick up a stray dog out in the community and it has not been a nuisance or a constant problem, if they have a dog license or a microchip, we will return them to the person, have a talk with them, and, tell them they got to keep, but accidents happen. The best dog owners, their dogs do get out. That's just what happens. Next slide, please. For the year-to-date, complaints investigated are at 1,536. That number's also up from previous years. Next slide. On the pie chart, unincorporated is at 44% and incorporated is at 56%. Next slide. For the year-to-date, unincorporated is at 45% and incorporated is at 55%. Next slide. For the year-to-date, the shelter live release rate is at 91% and the cat live release rate is at 95%. Prior to me coming here, cats really weren't talked about during this presentation, and we're actually working on making a better report that just compares everything at the same time. Next slide, please. The monthly live release rate is at 75%, and the cat live release rate is at 80%. Next slide. 892 visitors came looking for their lost pets or to adopt from us this month. Is there another slide? Yeah, okay. 121 dogs and 98 cats came in during May. 218 surgeries were performed, and so basically the staff laid hands on 336 animals in the month of May. Any questions?
Any questions, comments? All right, good report. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is Emergency Management. Joy Scott, the Director.
Good afternoon, Judge, members of Fiscal Court.
Afternoon. Good afternoon.
I'm here today to present the May work report for emergency management. Before I start, Judge, I'd like to, members of Fiscal Court, I'd like to take a quick moment to commend Hardin County Fire Departments in their efforts for the Crusade for Children campaign this year. Hardin County turned in a record number for, in the state of Kentucky, highest ever of $886,000 for our county.
Wow. Yeah.
which 100% of that money comes back to our county for special needs children. So I was very, very proud of that, and I wanted to share that with everybody today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, starting today with training. Our search management training, Class Elite SAR 20 hours training. That was our state training that we have to have for the state of Kentucky. KYEM director training was held in Frankfurt. All new EM directors in the state of Kentucky attended that, 36 hours. FEMA mitigation training. We had our Kentucky CAM training, HURRIC Coalition training, and our ICS training, which that's another requirement for the state of Kentucky that we have to maintain our funding from the state. Next slide, please. Meetings. Safety committee meeting was held, and my deputy Richard DeWitt, he's head of that committee and does a great job. That's here in the county building itself. We also attended the HURRIC Coalition meeting, another Kentucky CAM meeting, Red Cross, the board meeting, Elizabethtown region. We attended that in May. Kentucky CAM regional meeting. Also attended the insurance claims and wind events. Richard DeWitt also handled those and done a great job of getting all of our properties secured back up after the wind event. Safety meeting with Blue Oval SK, which we've been involved in every month, myself and EMS. We go down once a month for a safety meeting with them, which is very informative of the growth and progress they're having down there. This last meeting we attended, Emergency Service Advisory Team. That's a new team that we have formed, advisory team. And I'd like to commend Judge Toll for helping us get that going. We have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge at that table. We're going to be meeting once or twice a month. And that is for the direction of the emergency service infrastructure of our future growth we're facing in Hardin County. And we're really proud of that team, really excited about that team. There's a lot of good possibilities coming out of that team, and we're going to work hard at that. So thank you, Jeff. Next slide, please. Emergency responses for the month of May. We made a chemical response, hazard material chemical response with Nutrien Ag on 31W South. Went to a structure fire at Airview Estates with a firefighter was injured, not serious injury, just a small injury. 97 mile marker, we made a diesel spill. The 86 mile marker semi-fire. At the 96 mile marker had a fatal accident. We also assisted White Mills Fire Department and Elizabethtown Fire Department with a missing boater on the Nolan River in White Mills. And we had a hazard material incident that turned out to be non-hazardous, but it was a asphalt sealer, so it was a large mess. We assisted in Glendale at the pilot. Next slide, please. This next slide is a community outreach that we're really proud of as well. We have started attending a lot of career days. Career day at Cecilia Valley Elementary, career day at Lincoln Trail Elementary, safety day at Lakewood Elementary, field day at Lincoln Trail Elementary, which was really something. Us and EMS got together there and went out with that. So that was a good time. We attended our monthly information report with Quixie Radio, which I really like that. We get to spotlight a department out of the county each month. So, and Megan takes care of that for us. We thank you. We also attended the Insights and Issues this past month with the TV station. So that's my monthly report. Is there any questions? Thank you all so much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, just to note that there are some written reports are there any questions or comments for any of the written reports? All right, next on the agenda, we have some time for citizens' concerns or comments. I noticed on our sign-in sheet that there are several people that want to talk some about one of our items that we'll be voting on here in a little bit regarding the committee functions. So given that, I had some comments to introduce those two resolutions, and just so that there's not at least not as much misunderstanding. Hopefully there's none, but just let me explain what these two resolutions, what they entail, so that you can be aware of those, be aware of that before you get up here to speak. And it might just help move things along a little bit and make sure that at least you have an understanding at this point of what these are. And then I won't repeat myself when we come around to the resolutions.
Judge,
Both of those.
point of order.
Yes.
Should we be discussing it before a motion's made to discuss?
I'm going to introduce those. So,
Is that a question to me? I
Yes.
see everybody looking at me.
yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't
Yeah.
want to do anything that's outside of.
No, I think it's fine. If there's going to be opinion comments on the resolutions, I think whoever is proposing them should make those comments. So I know there are two resolutions that would be inconsistent and a different approach to committees. So if we're going to have comment from the court before public comment, I just want to make sure that whoever is proposing each has an opportunity to make that comment.
Yeah.
So
I
that
mean,
makes
maybe it would be best if, would it be a problem if you just summarize real quick the two before these folks get up and talk to those?
Sure, I can do, if the court is okay with that.
Would that be okay?
Okay, I will do my best to do that.
All right.
Okay, so there are two resolutions on, to give some structure and guidelines to how committee meetings, are held. So committee meetings are created, pursuant to statute and also Chapter 3 of the Administrative Code. The first one, which is first on the agenda, 2023-126, you'll find some similarities in these. Where you will see the difference is what the purpose of the committee meetings are. In the first, 2023-126, it states the purpose of a committee meeting is for magistrates, elected officials, and directors of county government offices to understand issues related to county government by gathering and sharing information helpful to fiscal court in making decisions that impact the county. In the second resolution, which is 2023-127, it indicates that the purpose of the committee meeting is for magistrates, elected officials, and directors, again, of county government to provide an advisory role and make recommendations related to the operational affairs of county government. The committee may choose to gather external research or information as well as internal input or discussion into operational matters at the invitation of the judge executive, deputy judge executive, or committee chair. It's a lot of words. I'm not sure if you can really see the difference, but it's the first one is to get more external information. But the main difference you will see in E and F, the first resolution, 2023-126, would allow for public comment at committee meetings. I will explain that both of these resolutions comply with the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act requires that any public agency provide notice and an opportunity for the public to be present at all meetings and to observe the proceedings. It does not require public participation, although fiscal court as a public meeting does allow for that, and you're getting ready to see that. And so that's really the difference is, are we going to allow public comment at the committee meetings? The second one, 2023-127, would not allow public comment at the committee meetings, but creates an additional opportunity by creating a public forum, a town hall forum. And so that would create a forum on the 5th Tuesday of the month, which would occur quarterly. That's when we have 5th Tuesdays. And so at that time, rather than at the committee meetings, the public would be invited to come and ask questions, to provide input, and to identify issues for the court. And so I hope I've done a fair job of just describing the difference.
Committee times.
Oh, committee times are also one difference. Let me remember what that difference is. In 2023-126, I believe the committee chair will determine the time of the meetings. In 2023-127, the committee meetings will be moved to 3:30 during the workday for the county employees, but then the town hall forums where the public is invited to participate would be at 5:30 on the fifth Tuesday. So I think if that's a fair enough summary,
Think so.
okay.
Yep.
Then we would allow the public to comment, and then
Right.
obviously you all will have more to say before we vote.
Right.
Okay.
All right. I believe there were some that were interested in coming up, so anyone allowed, okay?
I'll go first.
Okay, if you just state your name and where you live in the county.
Good day. My name is Cheryl Benitez, and I thank you for allowing me this time to come and speak to you this afternoon. Judge Tall and Squires, I'm here today as a citizen of Hardin County to voice my concern regarding the two resolutions that will be either approved or disapproved today. Those two resolutions are related to committee functions and guidelines for committee meetings and establishment of town hall forums. This past general election, I supported the majority of you for your election or re-election campaigns, and with the exception of Squire Clem, all of you participated in some sort of forum before either the primary and/or general elections. At those forums, there were questions asked and answers given, and there was one word that stands out that I know most of you discussed and used during your campaign. That word is transparency. Let me say it again, transparency. Today, there are two resolutions on that agenda that impacts that campaign word, transparency. I was going to go over the resolutions. You already did that for me, so I'll skip that paragraph, okay? I'm here to support the first resolution, to keep the committee meetings open to the public and allow them a voice. These past 6 months, I have not had any personal reason to attend any of these committee meetings since their indoctrination. However, I do not want to lose the opportunity to come to your committee meetings and verbally express myself. Isn't that the commitment you made to your constituents when you ran for office? Those committee meetings are part of the transparency that our judge, executive, and magistrates widely use during their campaigns. And that transparency also includes keeping those meetings at a time when the working public can attend, 5:30 p.m. As for the second resolution, I have no problem with the town hall meeting concept. However, I do have concerns that citizens will not be able to voice their comments in a timely manner. If there is a major resolution to be voted on that impacts the citizens of Hardin County and our tax dollars, will there be a town hall meeting before that resolution for our voices to be heard? Or will the resolution be passed and then a town hall meeting afterward allowing no public input? And a town hall meeting every 3 months? How about a town hall meeting every month? Another concern is one of the most common formats of a town hall meeting is a briefing with a 3 or 4 person panel and a moderator. Will future town hall meetings have all the entire fiscal court present to hear from constituents or concerned citizens, or just a select few members present? I hope this isn't the intent. Approving the second resolution takes us back to how the old fiscal court operated. Action taken, announcement made, deal done. Sorry you missed the meeting. Where is the transparency in that? I also have heard that one of the reasons for proposing to move meetings to 3:30 p.m. is because the 5:30 p.m. meetings impact the county government employees' hours. For what I understand, those impacted are being given flex time, or should be if not, to make up for working past their normal work schedule. When I worked for the federal government, that is how I was compensated when I worked past my normal hours. I can't imagine someone complaining about flex time if they are being allowed to use it. I love using my comp time for a Friday afternoon off, or coming in late after the next morning after working late, or taking an extended lunch hour, or using it for personal time and not having to sign for annual leave. That's how it should work. As for your personal schedules and the meeting times, 5 of you on this court are retired. If anyone should have a complaint about this, it should be the 4 magistrates that are still working. However, even the working magistrates should have considered when filing to run for office that representing their constituents may require working past 5 p.m. I urge fiscal court to remember they work for their constituents and citizens of Hardin County. I would hope that each of you make decisions that are in the best interest of the citizens of this community. In closing, I'm asking our fiscal court to keep transparency in everything they do. Please don't take my voice away.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Bobby Coleman, 327 Rising Court, Vine Grove, Kentucky. I'm asking you all to vote in support of Resolution 126. This will ensure that the constituents of Hardin County has an opportunity to be heard under our First Amendment. This is something the majority of you campaigned on. I would like you all to honor your word and vote yes for Resolution 126. The fiscal court meetings are different than the committee meetings, so if there are any issues, the constituents may not be heard. By no means should the people be silenced. So I'm asking you for a no on Resolution 127. And again, I agree with Cheryl on the transparency. It is, majority of you voted for transparency, and now you guys are trying to backtrack it. We are aware that you guys had a pay raise, and you guys need to remember that y'all work for us. We don't work for you. The fiscal court, oh, I already read that part, I'm sorry. There might be some reasons why some don't come. Like today, I had to bring my granddaughter. There might be issues why people can't come. They may not know. We have 11% voting. So how do you expect more people to come? Do you guys advertise it? Do you guys put it out to the constituents that they can come? Do even people know what fiscal court does or do? So therefore, I think and feel that you guys should put the word out more to the people, and maybe the people will be here. And then understand when they can't, there might be certain reasons, and there might not be an issue. But when we have an issue, we want to make sure that door is open and your ears are open. So therefore, I again ask you for no on 127, yes on 126. And if we do the town hall meetings, it's too late. You guys are already done, made the deal, closed it, and on to the next issue. So everything that you're going to tell us on the town hall meeting quarterly is going to be old news. And I agree with Cheryl on that monthly. You know, get out. I mean, all y'all did the town hall campaigning, and we haven't had one yet. So therefore, again, I ask you yes on 126 and no on 127. Thank you.
All right, next.
Kenneth Paul Bunting, 627 Cherrywood Drive. I don't have a prepared speech, but before I came up here, I looked up the oath of office for magistrates. And although I'm not here to accuse any of you of participating in a duel, it's the first part of that oath that I'm concerned about, the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Kentucky and the laws thereof. My Constitution that I've read includes Amendment 1, which gives the citizens of the United States right to petition the government and redress grievances. I understand this is a lower level court than some, but it's important to the citizens of this county that we have a voice in these proceedings, in the committees where the nitty-gritty decisions are made, or plans are made and put together, if I understand the process correctly. So I challenge you all, and in particular my representative from District 5, Mr. Pennington, honor your oath.
Thank you.
I'm Bobby Alexander, 491 Boulder Drive, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and I appreciate the court allowing me to come speak this afternoon for a couple of minutes. I want to talk also about the ordinances 126 and 127, or resolutions rather. I didn't prepare a speech. I have a couple of notes here. Some of my thunder's been stolen already, and that's fine, but I don't think you can say the word transparency enough, because many of you as candidates use that word quite often, as a matter of fact. And it seems like today there might be some possibility that some of you are willing to back up on that a little bit. Let's go lock the doors and let's hide our discussions, or let's not allow any input from the thousands of people here in this county. Whether they voted or not, or whether they come here or not is not the issue. The issue is they should have the right to come and approach a committee or this court as well. And in part, you folks are potentially saying here with 127 that we're not going to allow you to do that anymore. One of the magistrates before me today told me this morning, well, you can come sit and watch and listen, but you can't talk. Well, why would I want to bother to come sit and listen if I can have no input? So you see what you're doing here with this potential at 127? You're locking us out, and it's just wrong. I moved to this county in 1997 on retirement from the Army, and I've been coming here fairly often over the years, and it seemed like the system that was in place for all of those years worked rather well. So all of a sudden, we have a somewhat new fiscal court, and we want to change it. You want to start taking away from us to give to you. It seems to me like that it's difficult to challenge you all who are responsible for the votes, that what passes and doesn't pass. I think you're trying to limit our opportunities to do that. I'm amazed at how elected officials do not like to be called out for anything they've done, period. Whether they did it good or did it bad, they just don't like to be called out for that. They sure like that patting on the back, but they don't like being called out when someone disagrees with them. I've experienced that this morning. One of the magistrates before me disagreed with me this morning and got rather rude with me. Just did not like my position. I was asked this morning about my magistrate. Well, do I go to the state and check on my representative at the state meetings? What's that got to do with anything here? Nothing. You see what I'm saying? You see, I'm trying to paint a picture of what we have to put up with from here. It doesn't need to change at all. I don't even know why we're having this discussion of either one of these resolutions. The system worked fine. But we have some disgruntled people here because of what happened in the recent past. I know that. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think that's a part of this. If you want to do your job, folks, the job that you ran for, you worked for, you knocked on doors, you asked for our support and our money and our vote, and here you sit. You've got them. Now, I think you owe us something. Every one of you owe us something. You owe us your support to do the things transparent and correct. And that's what I'm asking you to do. One of my favorite presidents of all times in the United States of America is named President Reagan. And he said, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. He did not specify any level of government. He said government, of which you folks happen to be. Now, are you on the side of the people or are you on the side of your court?
Mr.
That's the question.
Could you kind of start to wrap up fairly soon?
Government is not the solution to our problem. President Reagan also said that government is the problem. So we're going to see today whether the government is the problem or the people are the problem solvers or how this turns out. Vote no on 127 if it gets to that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Trina Martin. I live on Black Branch Road. I think every single one of you guys in here I've pretty much talked with at some point, so you know me. I don't have a speech prepared. I will say that I was going to talk about a lot of what Cheryl talked about. There's no sense in rehashing it. I believe with agree with almost everything she said. But there is an elephant in the room that I do want to bring up because I was at the meeting, the committee meeting, that probably is what stemmed all of this. And I feel like it was a cluster. I'll be honest, it was a cluster. And I think you guys can agree with me too, because you know what meeting I'm discussing. It was about the solar issue. There's, that is a huge thing that's going on. And I feel like because there was a lot of discussion that was going on in the room that that's not the time or place. I can agree with that. I think you guys can agree with that. But there were no parameters set. So I feel like the people are being punished because that was not done accordingly. I'm not blaming one individual. Y'all, we're all new. We're new at it. But that's something that needs to change. Don't shut us down. You still need to hear from us. We voted for you. But you can't expect us to behave in a manner or conduct business if we don't know how to do so. So rather than do this, maybe you guys should be discussing how can we keep that from happening again. And then I'm going to close with Lincoln said it best. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. Don't forget that.
My name is Dolly Gutzler. I live in Rhineyville, Kentucky. The First Amendment of the Constitution gives us the right to freedom of speech. While running for office, many of you said you stood for our constitutional rights. Just a reminder as to what some of you told many of us. You are a Christian and stand for Christian values. You ran for office because you were concerned for our future, our children, and grandchildren's future. Taking away their freedom of speech is not looking out for their future. For those of you who vote for freedom of speech, I applaud you and thank you for protecting our Constitution of the United States First Amendment, freedom of speech. Where should your focus be instead of what we are here for today? The Kentucky Department of Education are telling taxpayer-funded public schools to ignore Senate Bill 150 that protects our children from sexual graphic books available at schools and sexual graphic lessons being taught in the classroom. You should write a resolution in support of no child being exposed to graphic sexual content in our schools or libraries.
Point of order, Judge. This has nothing to do with anything on our agenda today.
I think it does.
Okay, let her finish the thought, but we do need to wrap it up.
Or teachers forced to teach it. Don't say you cannot do this when you stand beside and have your pictures taken by the superintendent, yet you want to take away our freedom of speech. You should be writing resolutions that let our legislators know you are concerned about technologies that affect children and adults' health, and that includes you and your families and your loved ones. For those who cannot make it to the 3:30 meetings, I do believe the option of 5:30 should remain. I support Resolution 126, and our freedom of speech should continue, and thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right, well, thank you. I appreciate you participating today and providing some input on your thoughts and on this topic. So as we move on into the next part, we've got these two things to vote on since all the comments were around the resolutions for the committee functions. Let's just go ahead and proceed to move forward with that. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2023-126 related to committee functions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and there's a second. Now it's time for discussion.
I simply want to state that there's no way that I can support this as it's written because it limits my own personal freedom of speech. Item C states only the committee members who are in attendance may recommend to add a matter heard in the committee to fiscal court agenda. Note that any item may be added to the fiscal court agenda by the judge executive for consideration without a committee recommendation. That limits my right to bring something to the agenda. I may not be at every committee meeting. What you need to know is those committee meetings have zero authority in regards to decision-making. The authority lies when this group meets as a total body. When small groups of them, less than a quorum, meet, they have zero authority. I would urge you that as you want your freedom of speech protected, that you direct it in the right location. And the right location is when the decision can be made. The decision can only be made by this total body, or at least a majority of them when there is a quorum. If there are 2 or 3 of us gathered in a committee meeting and there's not a fiscal court meeting convened, that committee has zero authority to make any decision. So I want my right to freedom of speech protected also. There have been things that I have not felt like I had the freedom to bring, simply because of the structure. The second proposal allows that to be done. The second proposal does not limit anyone's freedom of speech. It offers avenues for additional speech. Many things that have been said today fall short of truth. Check your facts.
Okay, any other comments?
Yes. Both resolutions I'm against. It's everything that I spoke about when I was running for office. And there were several other people here that spoke about the same thing, that we was going to have open meetings. We was going to include the people of Hardin County that could come to the meetings and voice their opinion. We've got some magistrates here that I think that is wanting to take that away from us. We've got some magistrates here that keeps referring to the meeting that we had that Trina's talked about. And I'm with her. I think we're trying to punish some of those people because it lasted till 12 o'clock. You know, when I took this job, I didn't take it for 9 to 5. I don't care if people want to come in and talk, and they're still talking there when the sun comes up. I will stay there till they get done talking. We're here. We're here to serve Hardin County residents. And all the employees here is here to serve the people of Hardin County. We're here. And that should be our first obligation. Now, we've got some magistrates that wants to make this job a little bit easier. They want to be home by 5:30 so they won't be late for supper. I disagree. I think we need to hold these meetings of the afternoon to where people can come, and if they want to come and they want to voice their opinion, they can get on the agenda and voice their opinion. A lot of people can't be here at 3:30. You're limiting people to the time they can get here and have a voice. I prayed about this job for 12 years before I got in and run for this. I knew what I was getting into when I run for this job. Kenny?
Yes, sir.
Laugh if you want to. I know some of y'all making fun of me all the time because I don't text and I don't email and I don't do all this. I'm kind of like David Crockett. I tell you like it is, whether you like it or not. I work for the people of Hardin County. I don't work for fiscal court. And I pray that the magistrates here today will make the right decision. I'm not for 126, and I'm definitely not for 127. But 126 is the less of the evil. So I will vote yes for 126, and I'm hoping the rest of the magistrates will do the same.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Judge, may I address?
Sure.
When I ran for magistrate, I did not make a lot of promises that I knew I couldn't keep. One thing I did commit to was transparency, honesty, and integrity. And yes, I'm one of those magistrates that said, let's move the meetings back so that our community, our citizens can attend. Whether they are here or not, they have the opportunity to attend. And yes, I'm one of those magistrates that said, I want to hear what you have to say. It's important to me. That's the kind of person that I am, and that's the kind of magistrate that I am going to be. I'm not going to change that mentality, that characteristic, because that's what makes me who I am. I care about people, and I care what they have to say. I wish we didn't even have to, I don't even know why we're talking about this. Shouldn't even be on the agenda. I don't like either resolution. I don't think either resolution should be on the agenda. But because they are, and one of them will be passed, whether I like it or not. And I hope it's 126, because I want to keep your voice at my committee meetings. A lot of folks don't feel comfortable coming into a fiscal courtroom and speaking in a microphone and to folks with suits on and in a structured environment. So even though they may have the opportunity to come and speak during fiscal court, if it's on the agenda, they won't do so because they just don't feel comfortable with that. But those folks may come to a committee meeting and talk in a less structured environment, in a friendly environment, in a warm and welcoming environment. And I believe that if you hold quarterly meetings, a lot of times it's a done deal.
That's right.
I think we need to hear from you before we vote, before we decide. You're giving us information we need to do our jobs, to help this community.
If I may, and this is in order, I'd like to move that both these be tabled so they may be refined to bring forth the best through the work of committees that you guys can attend.
So the motion to table would need a second.
Is there a second to table these?
Second.
Motion to table and a second. Any discussion? Discussion to table.
No, other than
No
the fact,
discussion, no
I'm sorry.
discussion to table,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, that was my mistake.
Sorry.
No discussion, so
Right.
we'll just go
No
ahead
no discussion,
and have
all
the
right.
vote
On the tabling, no discussion.
on the tabling.
Yeah,
Yes.
so vote on the tabling.
So we're going to.
So what is the motion, please?
The motion is to table both of these resolutions. That's correct, right?
That's the motion I've made.
Okay, and it's been seconded.
Surely we can come up with something that respects everybody's freedom of speech. I'm not supposed to be talking right now, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's what we're voting on. So
All right.
yes means that we'll table it.
All right.
Okay. And a roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
No.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
No.
Squire Saltzman,
No.
Squire Thompson,
No. Yes, I'm sorry. I brought it.
Squire Whitehead,
Yes,
Squire Yates,
No.
Judge Tall.
Yes.
4-4.
4-4,
So it fails.
it fails. Okay, so we'll continue on then with the discussion.
can I complete my comments, please,
Yes,
Judge?
Yeah.
I just want Hardin County to know, everyone in this courtroom to know, my fellow magistrates, judge executive, I just want everyone to know that I intend and desire to keep my commitment to you and to this county, and to serve with your best interests in mind, and to hear what you have to say, because that's important to me, and I want to keep your voice at the committee meetings. And I'm very disappointed that we're in this place right now and discussing this. Any way it goes, I'll still work hard to represent you to the best of my ability, and I hope to goodness that 126 passes, and I will be voting yes for that. Thank you.
Okay?
Judge, if I may.
Yes.
Larry, since you called me out there a while ago, I'll tell you what I was laughing about. You said you knew exactly what you were getting into when you took this job. I remember when we had our first meeting. It wasn't really a meeting. It was before we even took office or any of us were sworn in. We were signing our paperwork, trying to figure out if we were going to be full-time or part-time, and you said you had no idea if you were going to be full-time or part-time. You didn't even know what this job entailed. So that's what I was laughing at, young man. Now, as far as this, these resolutions, I find it terrible that we have some magistrates on here on Facebook, going on Facebook and saying that we are trying to stifle and take away the freedom of the people to talk. That's not what our intent. Our intent is transparent. You talk about transparency. My phone number, my email is listed on the website. I am available 24 hours a day. The transparency, the meetings are open. They will be open. You can be there. You can come here. You can discuss. You can call if you'd like. You can email. Been getting a lot of emails this week. So I don't see that we're trying to be untransparent with you on any of this. To me, it's more about efficiency. When we had our first meeting and we set up these committees, there was a lot of us that didn't like the 5:30 already. And Judge, you said after 6 months we'll evaluate and look at it. The 6 months is just about over. We haven't had a great amount of attendance for our committee meetings. So I think it's just time to look at it. This is the time to review it. As you stated, we can review it. So I think that's what we're doing here today, moving the times from 5:30 to 3:30. I just find it appalling, though, that people are telling one side of a story, saying and saying that I'm in a hurry to get home for supper, don't want to miss supper at 5:30. That's just a flat lie, and I don't appreciate that avenue being taken by someone to try to support their opinion on this. I also have worked over 12 years to get this job, and I knew exactly what I was getting into. And when I took this job, the committee meetings were not at 5:30. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but as you all have said in some other meetings, things changed. We changed them. They didn't seem to work like you all thought they would, and so I say we go back to the way it was. I just don't like people putting words in my mouth telling me why I'm got one position over another position, and that's just not true. It's for me, it's efficiency. We're making it more efficient for our employees. We've said in our meetings before that we're about taking care of our employees. As far as getting a raise, I heard someone say that we got a raise. If we did, I don't know anything about that. The magistrates did not get a raise that I'm aware of. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Kenny,
I don't think these personal back and forth.
well, I
share.
just want to clear something. We hadn't even been sworn in when you mentioned what you're mentioning.
That's exactly what I said.
I didn't know all the ins and outs, but I knew what the job partake. So like I said, when it comes to all this tech stuff, I agree with you. I don't know about all of it, don't want to know about all of it. But I do know what the people of Hardin County want.
Okay. Are we done with that? Okay, because at the end of the day, we're still going to have to work together. Okay, so let's let's retire from that conversation. Any other comments from the other magistrates that you have? I would like to, I would like to clarify just a little bit before we vote, okay?
Judge, I was going to comment too. I didn't.
Oh, I
You
didn't
were looking at
realize
Aaron, I
that.
thought maybe you were going to recognize.
Oh, okay, no, you go
I'm
right
sorry.
ahead.
I'll just speak to Resolution 126 first. Piggybacking on what Magistrate Thompson said on Section C, this section states only committee members who are present may recommend to add a matter heard in the committee to fiscal court. However, the judge executive can add to the court agenda with or without committee recommendations, present or not present. If you vote yes on this resolution, you as an elected member of this body, you're saying it's okay to lose your right to bring a matter to the court at any time with or without committee recommendation. The resolution for this alone is structurally flawed. We as elected officials to the court can bring a matter to the court at any time. That's a given. So even though this resolution states that, it has no enforcement because we can bring matters to it. I think someone alluded to, if you can't attend a meeting, but you're able to talk with the other members and you're able to read the minutes, you can bring a matter concerning that committee meeting to the court. So this is, the structure is incorrect in itself. So if you vote for this, you're agreeing that we will not have that right, even though we do. I just want to point that out. Section F allows the public to participate in the committee process, which we've heard a lot about. As magistrates, we have only the committee meetings to gather as a quorum to listen to our department heads as to issues as well as matters to be brought to the court. However, under current structure, we listen to the public on their issues before we ever get to our committee meetings. As we have witnessed in recent meetings, we had opposing groups come into the meetings, presenting their sides to the issues, and at times even debating one another and asking questions of one another. We've had the same group come present more than once, time after time, on the same topic. The public can attend, they can observe, but to participate is not a committee function. There are numerous other appropriate times to participate. Example, you can call, you can text, you can email your elected representative 24/7. We're always available for any type of discussion. I think it was alluded to today that this morning, one of the members that spoke have talked to a couple of their magistrates today. So they've had contact there to express their opinions. Twice a month, you can come to fiscal court and you can speak to any subject that's on the agenda. That's two more opportunities there. And under Resolution 127, which is a resolution to follow, but it's been referred to, and sponsored by Magistrate Thompson and myself, the public will be allowed to attend and speak at a town hall on any subject. Now, it's been alluded to that it's a done deal. The decision's already been made. That town hall is not to take the place of a committee meeting. What it is, it's devised for anybody to come and speak without a whole lot of limitations about anything that they want to talk about county government. It's not a committee meeting. It's to express yourself on what you want your county governing body to hear. So there's a misconception about what the concept of the town hall meeting is all about in the first place. Item G, the resolution states the chairperson of each committee can determine the time of their meeting. A lot's been said about the 3:30 and the 5:30. Folks, in the past, some of the committee meetings were 9 o'clock in the morning. So if this resolution passes, the chair can set that meeting anytime they want to, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 7 o'clock at night. They can do that with this resolution. So be careful what you're supporting when you say that you support something on a time issue. 3:30 is not a magical number, but some people are going to work. We have a lot of factories and businesses in this town that work different shifts, the hospital for one. So folks are coming and going between that magical period of 3 to 6 or 7. So some folks that are going to a meeting at a factory can actually stop by here and attend a fiscal court meeting on their way to work. And others who are getting off the shift may, even now that we have 5:30 meeting,
be able to catch a part of the, or follow either part of all of fiscal court meeting as well. So the time issue, 3:30, is a good target, and that's the reason we came up with that in the past, because it was a good time for everybody. You're never going to get a perfect time for everybody because there's too many shifts. It also creates a scheduling issue. As I said, we have to post when we have our meetings. So if somebody decides they want to have them 6 o'clock this week and then this month, and next month they change and they want to change it again, then we're going to have to be posting that the meeting has changed. I'm not saying that would happen, but it can happen if you vote for the resolution as it's written. In summary, these are some of my main reasons to not support 126. But in conclusion, let me speak to one more very important issue that some of you all brought up. Our employees. They work hard every day for every one of you all and for us. They put in a hard day. And for us to expect them to come back to a committee meeting sometimes 1 hour, and in some cases 2 hours after they get off, to come and sit through a committee meeting, and a lot of times what's being said in committee, if the public speaks, doesn't even pertain to their positions with the county government. But they're having to sit there and through that committee meeting at 5:30, 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're no different than we are. They have families at home. They have to be there maybe to get their children's homework done, or maybe help with baths, maybe even cook a meal, or maybe even a sporting event like we all want to do with our kids. But no, we're requiring them to be here to sit on a committee meeting. This is probably going to upset some of you, but I'm going to say it anyway. At a minimum, I think it's selfish for any of us on this court to demand or expect our county employees to come back an hour or 2 hours afterwards. And if they could speak up freely, I think they would say that. They would support that. I've heard a lot of that support personally. So I will close in saying that I will vote no on 126, and I will vote yes on 127. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll go ahead and speak.
Okay.
So, transparency. I don't know if I'm confused on transparency and availability. To me, I think we've done a phenomenal job with being more transparent. You know, Judge has gone through all the resolutions. He's been, you've shared a lot of the things. And to me, transparency, people are talking about it's done deal, it's signed, sealed, delivered. We can't sign, sealed, deliver anything until right here, until you all voice your opinions. And to assume that everything is already done and that we're just, there's no transparency there, we're being transparent. I think also transparency has been talked about as if you can't come to the meetings. Everything is open. We literally cannot go to McDonald's in a group of 5. That's how transparent we have to be. We have to be out in the open with everybody and publicized meetings. So I think the real issue here is availability. I've gotten several phone calls today, and I've answered them. I got some yesterday. I've gotten some recently. I answer it as much as I can. If I'm on the phone, I may miss one, I apologize. I'm more available, any of us are more available now than I think probably many magistrates have been in the past. And I think we have been, and I will be, continuing to utilize this as my office door. I don't have a door here to come and knock on. This is my office door. And I'd love for you to call me and say, hey, let's talk about this, and let me give you my position. That is the transparency I think you're looking for, or why I would or would not support something. And I've had several of those phone calls, and I've expressed my concern and the reason why I would support 127 over 126. And in that discussion, they're like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think one thing that maybe hasn't been hit on too much is when you have presentations at these committee meetings, not all magistrates are required to be there. Technically, we're not always required to be here. We should be, but we're not required to be at committee meetings. There is a minimum that we should be, and we should be at our own committee meetings. But I may not be able to attend a committee meeting just like anybody else. And so for a presentation to be made there, and I hear a third party, is probably not the best thing. So for that reason alone, I think it's important to do it right here where we all are. There's camera, everything is here to where there's no he said, she said in the future. And I think that's really important from a county's perspective for litigation purposes alone. And I think that is looking out for the taxpayers. You know, I don't want to see our county in lawsuits for any reason. Those are a couple key points, and I do think it's important that we respect our employees in a time period where you could probably go find a job anywhere right now. Everybody is hiring, and you can't find good people to work. And I say that because this was one of the conversations that I had, and one of my constituents expressed her thoughts on how the fact that we have some employees working such low wage, and she just couldn't believe it. And I said, well, yeah, that's something we've got to work on. We're working on that. So just looking at it a whole as a big perspective, we've got employees doing hard jobs, working all day, and I don't think it's about the comp time. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about sometimes you having 14-hour days, 15-hour days, and sometimes multiple times a week to do it the right way. And I don't think that's fair because I don't think that's what they signed up for when they wanted to go into their job. Now for us, myself, it's not about the time, but I do know that 3:30 is probably the best time for the majority. I would like to say we've probably, I don't know, Chris, how many people have been from the public to our meetings? Zero?
Very few. I can't.
And it's not to say that our meetings haven't been published. They've been published. They've been in this every time they come. It's been everywhere. You know, I would love for you to come and observe. But for us to get done, we have a lot of things we need to talk about in emergency services and get stuff done. You know, we need to have that time to do it. We don't have working sessions. Those are the only times we have to do working sessions. It's really important that we're on task and we do what we need to do and get it done. Now, as far as the town hall meetings, I think the idea is a great idea to open it up. And to say it's signed, sealed, delivered, and what's done is done, I don't think that's truly fair. I think that's the opportunity to talk about the things that we need to in advance. Now, somebody's expressed a concern, well, maybe you're going to have a court date before that meeting. We can have special called meetings. If we have an emergency services meeting that needs to have a special topic, we can create those. We did that with the budget. There's nothing wrong with that. We should do that if there's a special topic. But for the routine function of the government, there's nothing wrong with having them at 3:30 and allowing our employees to do their job, get in, get out, and do the things that we need to do, and then make the decisions that we need to here, where everybody's invited to join. You're invited to join the committee meetings. If you don't like something that's said in that meeting, call me immediately afterwards. I don't like it. Let's talk about it. And I'll be transparent and talk to you about what's wrong or what's not wrong and why we should do certain things. To me, that's the transparency. So.
Well, Judge, I guess since everybody else spoke, I'll speak just real quick.
Okay.
You know, we've heard a lot about transparency, whether we're for or against transparency. I believe every one of us is for transparency. I can't think of anything more transparent than you guys coming here today, having your time to speak to us, to speak to every one of us in front of cameras, in front of the news enterprise, in front of our most important thing, our county attorney, because she's here for a reason. And that's to make sure that we're on the up and up and keep us out of hot water and make sure the county doesn't get sued. So to me, there's nothing more transparent than what has happened today. I appreciate everyone coming out and expressing your opinion. It proves that this process works. We've all sat here and listened. We've had discussion. It's time to vote.
Okay, fair enough. Just a few more comments. I won't beleaguer this whole thing, but I did want to explain just a little bit that whenever I took office, I wanted to set up these committees. I looked at them and decided that, hey, they seem to be working at least the fact, the way they were split out and the information that was going to be shared, you know, we made a few adjustments there. We started a financial committee. We put all the public works stuff into one committee, so we still ended up with 4 committees chaired by, and vice chaired by the magistrates. So I thought this was a good place to continue. Didn't really change anything as far as the structure of those committees. The public could come and discuss things as long as they got on the agenda at the committee meetings. So I was in agreement with that. And really the big change was moving from whatever time they were meeting to 5:30 in the afternoon. And I knew this was going to be a bit difficult because it is inconvenient for a lot of people to do that. But I thought it was best to push it to that time slot to allow the most participation by the public as possible. And so, again, I agreed with the magistrates that we would reevaluate after 6 months. So here we are. I will say that my own observation, and again, I try to be at every committee meeting myself, and so I was at most of them. And I observed that really 3 of the committees probably, there were very few public people there that wanted to make any kind of, or to observe or to participate. Those three committees, probably from just talking with the magistrates that are in charge of those as chairman, that they would, want to move those back to earlier in the day. However, there's one committee that Patsy chairs that she desires to keep it at 5:30 because we have had the most participation by the public in that committee. So that's kind of where the, I guess, the evolution of this first, this first resolution came from, is kind of a bit of a compromise to say, look, if the chairperson of that committee sees that there's just not much participation, it doesn't really help to have it later in the day, then we could move it back. But if they want to, they leave it where it's at. Okay, so it's really just to allow for that. And but I would not agree to removing the option of the public participating and then through comment and having some suggestions or additional research or whatever it is that they want to talk about that's on the agenda for that meeting, that committee meeting. If I'm going to err, I'm going to err on the side of more options, more opportunity for our citizens to participate in any open meeting, in addition to all the other avenues that they have. So that's kind of where I was coming from. I have no problem with the town halls. I'd love to start to have those. I haven't really pushed hard for them yet in these first 5 months, but I am all for them. And so I don't know if we need the formalization that we have in this second resolution or not, but if we were to pass the first resolution, then obviously we'd be open to, if we wanted to formalize it and have some sort of a town hall on a frequent basis, ongoing basis. Of course, that would be fantastic. I would love to have those. So whether they're formal or whether they're more organic, it's all good for me. So all that to say, basically, that the intent for moving these meetings was really to open up more opportunities for the public. And even though our department heads, of which that I've all gotten to know and appreciate them very much, I've been very much aware that it has been difficult for some of them more than others even, but all of them to stay later for these committee meetings. And I hope at least that they would agree with me that I've told them multiple times how much I appreciate that they do that and that they were willing to do that. And they're servants, and they all have, went through my conversations with them, have agreed to, you know, to do that, to stay later and be at those committee meetings, even though it isn't the greatest thing for them. So with that meeting, usually it would mean one committee meeting a month for most of them. Some desire to be at more than one committee meeting, but really just one of them was the main thought process. And then, of course, we have our later fiscal court meeting each month. So it would be two nights, or two late evenings, I guess you would say, each month. And all of them, you know, even though there were some concerns about it, none of them rebelled at that point. And we have some comp time, obviously, that we talked about. So at any rate, it's my responsibility as a judge executive to work with the department heads and to make sure that they are getting the resources that they need and that they're basically happy at what they do. And I think they all are. They're servants at heart. And so anyway, that is my responsibility to make sure that we work with them, each of them, as we go through day to day. So at that, I just wanted to make sure that it was understood kind of how this thing came about. My biggest issue really with the second resolution is the agenda item where we're not going to allow public comment. And it really wasn't meant to allow the public comment, that is the emphasis of the committee. It's just an option that people have to come and say, look, you know, this particular thing that you're looking at, you're researching, I can provide some additional information about that. And whenever you shut that off from the committees, sometimes you may be limiting yourselves as a government to hear all the different aspects of that particular topic. But at any rate, we are ready now to vote finally. So are there any other comments before we proceed? All right, hearing none, we'll have a roll call.
Squire Clem?
We're voting on 126.
126, yes.
We have a motion and a second on 2023-126.
No.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
No.
Squire Saltzman?
No.
Squire Thompson?
No.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
No.
Judge Tall?
Yes. What's the count?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 no's and 3 yes.
Okay, so the motion fails. All right, so now we are able to move on to the next resolution, which is 2023-127. And is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion on this resolution?
Judge, I'd like to, can I amend this motion?
Yes.
What are you wanting to amend?
Yeah, if you want to amend.
I would like to amend and insert
Well,
take out the words.
Let me understand, you're wanting to amend the resolution?
Yes.
No,
that-
we have a motion on the floor and
Oh,
second.
okay, sorry, I should have done that before.
There's
Okay.
no ability to.
Yeah, not after, he could, well, I don't know. Hold on just a
I
second.
believe we think we can.
Okay, well, if we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I think we can proceed with an amendment, okay? So if you want to state that you're going to make a motion to amend this resolution by whatever it is that you're going to amend it.
Are we good?
No.
Are you,
I mean, I can take a moment and look it up if you'd like me to, but I don't believe, once we've made the motion and we've had a second, that you can go back and amend it. We have to finish the
well, that's the
vote.
only time that you can
I mean,
amend.
Okay, that's fine.
I-
That's what you want to allow.
Give us just a second here, okay? Just to make sure.
So
'cause
what
I-
would you like, you want me to sit here and look it up? Okay.
Yeah. Let
Sure,
me,
be happy to.
I'll also look.
Who's going to amend the resolution?
Oh, let's see, just have him say that,
He can't do that. He can't. Yeah, that's talking about amending the motion. Yeah, so.
I withdraw, Judge.
you just withdraw.
I withdraw the
Okay.
amendment.
all right. We'll try to clarify for the next time.
All right, no
Comes up
worries.
again. Okay, so any other discussion about this particular resolution, 127? All right, hearing none, and roll call.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
No.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
No.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
No.
5 yeas and 3 nays.
Motion passes. All right. Let's move on to the second reading of the ordinance number 332, Series 2023, fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been a motion and second. Any discussion?
Judge, since I was absent for the first vote, my vote today is based on the discussions as to revenue sources during the Finance Committee meeting on April the 28th, 2023, and reflected in the committee minutes on the same day.
Any other discussion?
Some may want to know why I would vote no to this. It is because of the identified source of revenue that I would vote no.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
No.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
Yes. Motion passes. All right, our last item of business today is the consent agenda. Try to move through these quickly, and the first one is just basically a claims batch, June 13th, 2023. That's basically paying our bills. The next two items are two executive orders. One is related to the notice of a special call fiscal court meeting, and this basically is to review the record as we consider the question of amendment of a zoning map. The second executive order was related to appointment of a chairman of the Board of Assessments of Appeals, and so those are in there. We've also got approving the resolution 2023-110. This is related to the step and grade salary increase that we had in our new budget, and this is a 3% cost of living adjustment. The next 9 resolutions, 111 through 119 are all about various job description revisions for 911, for finance, emergency management, coroners, and buildings and grounds personnel. And then also some personnel changes in regard to each one of those. These were all talked about at the committee meeting. So the next one is some EMS personnel changes that we usually have each month. And then we have an approval of Resolution 121. This is related to service agreement with Motorola Solutions per state contract 758 a long number. And it's about $90,000 worth that we're agreeing to here. The Resolution 2023-122 is related to Insight Public Sector Verkada Cloud Services for the road department cameras. It's about $3,000 there. We also have a resolution related to financial transfers, is 123. And then finally, 124 is related to the Kentucky Emergency Management Performance Grant and for additional EMA funding. And so this is a grant request that we are approving. And then at the end, we have the Public Works Committee meeting from last month. All of that in the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, approved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, is a roll call.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
Yes, motion passes. Okay. Let's move on to some comments, and we'll start with our county attorney. Do you have any comments?
I probably do, and I've forgotten them. So, no, I don't at this time. Thank you.
Okay, you still have some time.
Okay.
If you
I
think of it, okay?
Thank you.
All right. The county clerk.
Nothing,
Ryan.
sir.
Okay. That's new. Are you okay?
A little carpal tunnel syndrome, but I'm doing okay.
All right, very good. Magistrate Chris Yates.
Yes, Judge. Mayor Cerisi would like to invite everyone out to West Point this Friday for his third Friday from 6 to 10, Rocking on the River. It's in West Point, Kentucky. They're going to have food trucks, music, and a good time. So come on out 6 to 10 this Friday.
Is West Point in Hardin County?
It's in northern Hardin County. It's the northernmost part of Hardin County and very much in Hardin County.
I've seen a T-shirt that says it is.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen all the other counties marked through, and it finally gets to Hardin County, yes. All right. Yes, Magistrate Kenny Saltzman.
I just want to say that the cities here in West Point, Vine Grove, Radcliffe, and E-Town, they had a cook-off. Judge, you were there to see who was the best chef mayor in the county, and Radcliffe did come away as a winner. But the judge, you win with the apron and the T-shirts that West Point is in Hardin County. I enjoyed that. That was fun to get to hang out with some of the city leaders and the mayors and one of their city council representatives. Also, I attended Vine Grove's First Friday. That was a great event also, and they have another one coming up on the first Friday of July. So I invite people out to that. And Judge, I will try to make West Point this coming week. I can't give you any promises. I haven't looked that far into the calendar.
That's the mayor.
Mayor, sorry. You look like a judge. I don't know.
Yeah, he does. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Patsy Whitehead.
Yes, thank you. I don't see him in the room, but our jailer, Josh Lindblom, I want to congratulate him and recognize him. Last Wednesday, he earned the honor of Jailer of the Year by the Kentucky Jailers Association. And as we all know, Josh does a great job, and we owe him a lot for keeping us safe and doing a good job there at the jail, and the work that the inmates do and everything that he coordinates there for our community is outstanding, as proven by his recent awards. So if you see him, I'm sure you probably already congratulated him, but just wanted to remember him and recognize him for that distinction. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to echo the congratulations to our jailer for this great award and representing Hardin County so well with that type of recognition. So I wish he was here to say something to him, but he's not. All right. Magistrate Fred Clem.
Just a reminder not to text and drive, drink and drive.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Aaron Pennington.
I think the notice has been sent out. If not, it probably will be coming out that our committee meeting this Thursday is going to be canceled.
Okay, so the committee.
Yeah, Emergency Services.
Emergency Services Committee
Yep.
is canceled.
Yep.
This, which was going to be this Thursday,
Yeah,
correct?
we have a training and.
Okay, all right. Magistrate E.G. Thompson.
I'd just like to commend the participants today for being very effective in your exercise of freedom of speech. Thank you very much. We also want to continue to assure you that we will be just as transparent as possible. I do not like to have things happen without my having known something about it before it does happen. That does occasionally happen. But I'm not always in the know, but I do my best to get there. I would like to convey to our Sheriff's Department appreciation for their handling of an incident that was over in my area recently, this past few days. Came away with no one injured or shot. It could have been deadly, but because of their effectiveness, their prior training, and their preparation, everybody came away from that incident successful. And I appreciate all the preparation that goes into our emergency preparedness. So thank you very much to our emergency services personnel and to our sheriff.
Thank you. Magistrate Larry Hicks.
I just want to thank all the Hardin County employees. I think y'all done a great job. Stephanie, I called her when we was having this garbage problem, and she jumped right on it. I thank Stephanie for that. Dwight is, every time I've questioned him about anything, he's jumped right on board with it. So I do appreciate the Hardin County employees. I'm disappointed, very disappointed in today's decision, today's vote. I disagree with E.G. on thanking all these people that came out and spoke. It didn't do much good, people, I'm sorry. It didn't do much good. Everybody had their minds made up, and they voted that away, but I just asked the people in Hardin County, remember how people voted today.
Okay, and of course, we're missing Magistrate Kenny Muse today. He's, I believe, vacation or something, and so just wanted to say that we did miss him today.
Just,
and yes,
for the record, I want it to be stated that that was a very inappropriate remark you just made.
Freedom of speech, Fred, freedom of speech.
all right. So one other thing too, I know today's been a difficult meeting. A lot of you know, and it's going to happen, right? We're going to have some disagreements along the way. Hopefully, we can mend a few things as we go ahead, because we do need to work together as a court and work in trying to do the work of this county. So, for my part, I will and do everything I can to keep us going in a good direction. I did want to say thanks to our friends from the Sheriff's Department for being here today and helping just kind of keep things under control with some of the things that are going on in the county, not because of the activities today or the public comments or anything, just feel a little bit safer with you guys around. So thank you for taking time to do that. At that, a reminder that June 27 is our next meeting at 5:30 And the committee meetings are listed. Again, we've got the change for the emergency services showing June 15th, so that has been canceled. I think all the rest of these are, we've got the two special called fiscal court meetings that we mentioned earlier coming up next Tuesday and Wednesday. The Finance Committee had to be changed, and so it is at 3:30 next Thursday. And so we've got all that going on. And then one note too, that there is a holiday for us on Monday, June 19th. So the building will be closed that day. Okay. I think that's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Any objections? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.